Ladies, welcome back to the Feminine Mystery and welcome to 2024. I highly doubt that this will be the first video that I upload, but it's going to be somewhere towards the beginning. So yeah, welcome. Happy New Year to all of you, and I hope you're doing well. Also, if I have not already uploaded a video saying this already, thank you so much for 1,000 subscribers. Like, wow. I know I was on this long unexplained break, but thank you to the YouTube algorithm because I don't know, I guess you don't really know when people aren't necessarily like uploading to their channels versus when they are anymore. Are we still using the subscription tab? Let me know below. Anyways, today I wanted to talk all about using your looks to get ahead, playing to win in love and life. And I really want to emphasize that part on playing to win. I think that we are brainwashed, honestly, in society into thinking about playing fair, into things being equitable and equal for everybody. And that's a great ideal. It really is. And I am not here to discourage anybody working towards that. But what I want to acknowledge here is that things are not fair. It's the thing that we hear people tell children all the time: life isn't fair. But we really struggle to actually embrace that in our lives, especially in adulthood a lot. And the thing is, once you really start to understand life isn't fair for anyone, anywhere, ever, it's just not, right? You have to start to learn how to use your unfair advantages. And if you don't have unfair advantages, create your unfair advantage, right? Get into the space where you are ready to compete and you're ready to play to win. Now, how can you do that? How can you really use your looks to get ahead? And how can you get there if you're not already the best looking as is? We're going to talk all about that in this video. So if you're interested in this topic, then keep watching. First of all, if you struggle to change yourself, do you truly expect to change others? Now, this is something that I really think we need to focus on, just because I think we're going back to the part where I said at the beginning, life is not fair, and there is a huge push in society right now to make everything equal. This is not a political channel, so however you feel about the political situation going on, let's keep it cute. But you see it, if you are even in Target nowadays, now we see a lot of plus size models and people who are differently abled or things like that, different kinds of quote unquote beauty that is being pushed out of mainstream beauty. If you look at the Victoria's Secret runway, it is not anything like it used to be 10-15 years ago, I'll tell you that much. Right? All of this stuff is changing rapidly. And regardless of whether or not you think that that is, right, wrong, wherever your moral opinions and wherever your shoulds fall on that list, you have to look at the response that people are having to that kind of thing nowadays. You see a lot of people who are unhappy with this kind of thing because they feel as though we're fueling some sort of mass delusion that, you can feed to people that things are a certain way through advertisements and magazines and movies and whatever, but when you actually get out into the real world, into real adulthood, things aren't that way. And I see, again, I'm not a political person, I see both sides of the argument. I see why people would want to promote certain changes in beauty standards, and I see the point that people are making when they're saying hey, you're just really robbing people of the opportunity to be prepared for the reality that they're going to be met with in the world. It's just kind of pushing this delulu standard on other people. But I really want to bring it back to how to really implement that change and reconcile that within yourself. I think the most important thing that we really need to accept as women, as people in society, period, is that if you can barely change yourself, why do you think that you can change other people? And we really need to meditate on that for a second, because if you think about your day-to-day life, all the bad habits you have, all the things that you do that you wish maybe you didn't do. Let's say you have a bit of a temper when it comes to driving, you have a lot of road rage, maybe you explode and get really angry with people in arguments and you say things that you regret, or you maybe have some bad habits around food and the things that you're eating. Maybe you're a smoker, or you drink a little too much alcohol. Maybe when you drink, you just have like a really low tolerance for it, like I do in real life, and you just get like really drunk really quickly, and then like things just kind of get a little wild and crazy. Whatever your bad habits are, I know that was a little TMI, but whatever your bad habits are, think about how hard it is for you to change them. Because as hard as it is for you to make a change in yourself, it's 1,000 times more difficult to make that change in somebody else. We do not control other people, and as much as we can pressure them into complying with some sort of social standard in our presence, we are not capable of truly changing what it is that those people do or do not think. If somebody at the end of the day has a certain beauty standard, a certain idea in their mind over what is and is not beautiful, we're not going to change that with the magazine campaign. We're just not. In the same way, if people have, like certain biases, certain, attitudes that they have in any facet of society, whether they're fair or unfair, what I want to point out here is that they're not going anywhere. In the same way, Doritos just goes up in sales every single year. People have not stopped eating those. Regardless of how much information has come out, people are not going to adjust their attitudes towards other people and, any kind of, especially looks-based discrimination. How subtle is that? People simply are not going to change for us. So it's on us to change ourselves. Next, ladies, your looks are the gateway to the best opportunities. When I say your looks are the ticket in, I really mean it, because a lot of other qualifications are eroding in importance. If you look at things that used to be considered very important, like specialized knowledge, a lot of that is being replaced in the digital age, especially as we move towards a more AI-dominated landscape. A lot of knowledge work is being automated. I say that as somebody, for those of you who don't know, I am literally a scientist. I have a PhD in science and I work in a corporate setting. I see these things happening day to day. I see the way that hiring is changing. I see the way that, management pushes people to do certain things in a different way than used to be the case. Your looks really are the ticket to the best opportunities, especially in the arena of employment right now. This is going to be a controversial opinion, but I want you to hear it because you need to understand that, especially if you're young, if you are in college or just graduating, if you're 23, 24, maybe you have another job and you're just kind of figuring out what you want to do right now. And you're like, okay, how do I set myself up to really advance in my career? Am I going to go to school? Am I going to go to graduate school? Blah, blah, blah. You need to understand your looks are where you need to focus a lot of attention right now. For example, I wanted to find a little statistic here. I saw that in a survey, of 800 US employers conducted by a website called intelligent.com, right, nearly half of those companies, 45%, plan to eliminate a bachelor's degree as a requirement for some job positions, right? And that is a huge number of companies literally saying, hey, if you want to work in this or that position, we used to require a degree, now no, they just don't care anymore. And if you aren't looking for those more traditional qualifications when it comes to the interview stage, what are these companies looking for? Now, I've told this story once on my channel before, but I actually met this girl who, very young, definitely sorority energy, very pretty, but, clearly a little bit of a lost and wandering type. She was hired on as a, some sort of coding person or data analytics person. And I was just sitting there talking with her. I was like, oh, do you have blah, 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 blah. Basically any background in doing this whatsoever. None. When I tell you literally all this girl had was vibes, personality, and good looks, right? Charisma. She was, good looking and charismatic. That's it. She had no qualifications for the position that she was hired into. And that is the way that things are changing, and you have to get in line with that. A lot of people, especially, as millennials are ascending into corporate power, they don't really respect traditional education the way that baby boomers did, just because like millennials grew up with a background where people can learn anything on the internet. Millennials really differ from a lot of baby boomers in the fact that they are all about, somebody's vibe. And that is just being very, very real. People feel as if they are intuitive, as if they can suss out people's like vibes, whether or not that's true or very delusional, whatever. But that's the way that people feel, and that's how they're hiring right about now. So the most important thing for you is to work on your appearance. Master the halo effect, because when you look really good, people just assume that you're good at all of these other things in your life, right? So take advantage of that halo effect and start to work on your personal charisma, your magnetism. That is where you want to be focusing right now in 2024 to get ahead. Use your looks as the gateway to really get yourself the best opportunities possible. Next, ladies, don't let cynical people pull you into their misfortune. Now, cynical people really are something else. When I say cynicism, I mean somebody who's like, oh my gosh, what's the point of trying? Everything I do, it's like, there's no point. It's just going to fail anyways. It's not going to work. No matter what I do, it's just blah, 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 blah. Somebody who is determined in their mind that things are not going to work before they even try. Cynical people really kind of masquerade as these people who are like sarcastic and sharp and kind of quick-witted and maybe sarcastically funny in a sense, because they almost want to make you feel bad for wearing your heart on your sleeve and actually putting yourself out there and trying. But you really have to come to adulthood and understand that there are there are some very different life outcomes in between people who simply have different mindsets. If you don't try at the things that you do in life, it is very much true when they say you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. There are a lot of people in their 40s living in a bedroom in somebody else's house, just kind of renting that out for $400 a month, talking on a phone that has that's 7 years old, posting these multi-paragraph replies on Reddit. Literally, I met a guy like this and it was just shocking to me, and he had the nerve to hit on me. I was like, oh wow, but that's a story for another day. It's these people are everywhere right now in society. People who just quit, they gave up on themselves, they've laid over, they're not trying at all in life, and they have just determined to let their lives go to shit, and they feel as though again, because their lives didn't work out in a very positive way, they just don't try anything. They're only preoccupied with kind of pulling you down into their misery. You have to really make sure that you do not let this kind of thing work on you, because ultimately these people are just the biggest chicken littles in life. They're constantly concerned that the sky is falling, that something is coming around the corner, that things are not going to work out for them, and it's never true. You just have to put in the work, and little by little you will get results at anything that you do. You will, one way or another, sooner or later, get results from the effort that you put into things. And that is just the truth. I can't tell you how long it's gonna take to master this or that skill. It's different for everybody. But you can't spend 30 years trying to play the violin and then be surprised when you know how to play the violin at the end of 30 years. When you put in consistent, diligent effort into something, you do get results. It just is that way in the world. So really, you want to make sure that you are being very mindful with what you're feeding to yourself, what you're feeding in as far as the people that you're following, the content that you're consuming. Are you following these negative, cynical people who feel you should just give up and get used to being ugly and marry somebody who is maybe not the best, just kind of settle and just work wherever will take you? Or are you following find people who have a can-do attitude, who, I see like Lauren Bostic from the Skinny Confidential describe it this way. She said, if you're trying to get into a house and the front door is locked, she wants the person who is going to go around and try the window. And then like if the window is shut, they're going to go and try the garage. And then if the garage doesn't work, they're going to get up on the roof and they're going to go through the chimney. Like they're going to do whatever they need to do to get what they need to get. They are going to try things however they need to do it in order to win, in order to succeed. And that is the attitude that I really feel like you should have towards yourself, towards your looks, towards your beauty. Really make sure that you are ready to fight. Now, ladies, if you aren't born with an advantage, it's up to you to create one. If you've ever met somebody who was born very, very beautiful, you know what I'm talking about when I say this, excuse me. When you ask them how they feel about being born beautiful, they're just like, oh, well, it is what it is. They just kind of take it for granted. They don't really care, I've even heard some people say, well, this isn't something that they earn. It's something that they understand, that they received, they were blessed with through birth, just by being the child of two attractive parents. They were just born looking the way that they do, and often they feel like it gets in the way in their life. Where in contrast, ladies, if you've ever met somebody who was not born naturally beautiful but really put in the work, whether that work is having procedures done or working on things, losing a lot of weight, a lot of people who do go through extreme weight loss also have this perspective. Those people who really work hard and earn their beauty, they are not taking anyone's SHIT, excuse the language, but they're just not taking it. They don't want to hear anybody else's excuses. They don't want to hear anybody else's boo-hoos. They don't want to hear you complain unless you are going to do something about your situation. A great example of this is Khloe Kardashian. All the time when she's asked about her looks and her radical transformation, she says if you're not working to change your situation, she doesn't want to hear you complain. And that is very much the truth. Look, if you were not born as, attractive as you might like to be, okay, that's fine. That is just about the karma that you were born into. But now is your life. It is right now. And you owe it to yourself to pursue your goals to the fullest. If you want to change how you look, honestly, do it. You will never regret really putting in deliberate effort into your appearance. It is one thing when you are using things like procedures and weight loss to treat like low self-esteem or like self-esteem issues. That is not necessarily healthy, and it can really turn you into, like a modern day Frankenstein where you don't really look the best. But when you are out and about, like really taking advice, taking feedback, being very analytical, very methodical, having multiple consultations, and really figuring out what exactly needs to be tweaked to really make you look your best, you are going to be, a 10 out of 10, a knockout. There are so many people, and I see this all the time because, I go to med spa on a regular basis. I've also had consultations for plastic surgery. I didn't wind up going through with it, but I've had consultations for certain procedures where essentially, even though when I was in the room, they told me, oh, like, you don't really need this and that, that's kind of like besides the point. As I'm looking at these women who are in and out of these clinics, they don't look like anybody that you would think has ever had plastic surgery. You wouldn't even know if you were just standing next to them on the street. Don't be scared or like dissuaded by people who are just very negative. They don't want to change. They're scared to change. They don't want you to change. It's very true what they say, like misery loves company. Plastic surgery this day and age, like the technology is really crazy. I would never know a lot of people had even had plastic surgery had I not seen them in these places, especially high-end plastic surgery procedures. So if you really want something done, I encourage you to go and get their consultations and just spend some extra time in that waiting room to really see what people's work looks like when they're coming in and out, they're, doing their follow-ups, etc. or just say like you're, you know, waiting on an Uber and it's just taking a really long time, or like you're waiting on your husband, he has to come back from some appointment, whatever. Just sit in the waiting room and look around and really see what somebody is capable of, because I was personally shocked. Anyways, all I wanted to say in this section is that if you really feel like you were not born looking the way that you would like to look, don't be afraid to do something about it. And ladies, that's going to be the end of this video for me today. If you've enjoyed it, then please check out the rest of the videos on my channel and subscribe if you like it. I will see you next week, or in my next upload, maybe in the same week. I don't know when I'm going to upload this, but I will see you in my next video. Bye.